Thanks for stopping by. See you in the next video. Okay, what's going on in the world? So you think you're finished filming for a day, and then IG Images jumps in with an awesome question. He's put a question up on a video that I did a few weeks back about how to upgrade your camera and what to look for if you are considering buying a new camera. I'll link it up here if you want to check that out. However, the question he's asked isn't to do with how you upgrade to a new camera, it's how you get rid of your old one. He's asked a couple of different questions in here, all about how it's best to sell your existing camera. Do you trade it in part exchange with the shop you're buying your new camera from? Do you sell it second hand on the likes of eBay or somewhere? And then if you are selling it, what sort of things are best to mention in the adverts in order to attract the most attention? How do you value the equipment that you're going to be selling so you know whether you're getting a good price for it or not? And then are you better to sell your camera to then buy a new camera, or buy the new camera and then sell your old one? Lot of great questions in here. Let's tackle them all. So the first question, do you trade in or do you sell second hand? Well, this is very much the same as if you've ever tried to get rid of an old car, in as much as trading in is a lot more convenient because you don't need to put any effort into it. You just go to the shop, give them your camera, they'll knock it off the price of whatever you're going to buy. So you literally need to put no effort into getting rid of your old camera by using a trade-in. However, convenience always comes at a cost. The general trade-off is how much they value your camera at won't be quite as much, because what the shop is going to want to do is take that camera and then sell it on. So say for example you've got a camera that's maybe worth £800 used. They might offer you £600 or £700 for it, knowing that they can then sell it on for a £100 or £200 profit. If you sell it second hand, then you're probably going to get more money for it, but then you've also got to factor in that you've got the added time to create the advert and sort out the postage at the end of it and all that stuff. Then sites like eBay generally charge you a percentage of the final selling price. Now this isn't going to detract as much off the value as part Xing it usually would, but it's just something to consider. Really, a choice between trade in or sell second hand links into point number 3, the valuation. Now whenever I sell equipment, I generally go through the likes of eBay. Now normally I will do a little bit of research beforehand, so go on eBay, you will generally find that there are other people selling the same equipment that you are trying to sell, so you can see what sort of price they're selling for. Now don't always believe the buy it now prices that you see second-hand equipment set for, because that's just what the seller's asking for. It doesn't actually mean anybody is prepared to pay that much. The auctions are really the best place to get a guide as to how much your equipment's really worth, except the problem with auctions is you don't know until they've finished. So normally what I do is, if I'm thinking of selling my equipment, I will go onto eBay, I will find a couple of different auctions for the same sort of equipment, put them in my watch list, and just see what they go for in the end. And somewhere around about that sort of figure is generally what you can expect your equipment to then sell for. You then have to compare what is your equipment likely to sell for secondhand versus what are you being offered part exchange, because what people offer you as a trade-in is going to depend from one shop to another. So you might actually find in some places that the trade-in price is so close to the second-hand retail price that it's really not worth the hassle you going through selling it second-hand. You might as well just trade it in. Likewise, if you've got a camera that is £700 or £800 and they're offering you only £400 or £500 trade-in, you're probably going to think, no, going through the auction is still my best bet. Then if you are selling second-hand, make sure 1, your information is correct, and 2, it's as clear as possible. In terms of correctness, I cannot count the number of times I have seen auctions where the pictures of the product that is being sold doesn't match the listing that is being put up. For example, quite a common one is things like a Canon 18 to 135mm. There are 3 different versions of that lens, a normal, an STM and a USM. And the number of times I've seen pictures of a USM but listed as an STM, or pictures of an STM listed as a USM. But people who are going shopping online for stuff like that are quite often going to be searching for a specific object. So you might be selling what they're looking for, but if you've listed it as the wrong item, they might never find it. Likewise, you could sell your equipment to somebody who actually thinks it's something completely different, and that's just going to end up in an argument. Then in terms of transparency, put as much information about the item as you can, but make sure that that information is specifically about that item that you have. Don't start filling your advert with technical specifications for that particular model of lens or that particular camera body, because one, if you're on eBay, it's completely pointless because all the technical specifications are in the technical specifications section, and two, people are just going to get bored of reading it all when they want to know the condition of what you are selling. Make sure you disclose any marks or any scratches that are on the camera, but then also, make a point of showing that if they are affecting or not. I mean, if you've got marks on a camera body or a lens barrel, that's kind of expected from wear and tear, but as long as it still functions properly, people are generally happy. If there are small scratches or particles of dust within the lens, make a note of them anyway, because 9 times out of 10, people know that that sort of thing is to be expected. But people appreciate the honesty of you saying, there are these small things within the lens, it's not actually going to affect the images. Even include sample images taken with that lens or with that camera to show that there either are small markings or nothing shows up at all, so that people at least trust what you are telling them. Generally include photographs of the item taken from all square angles just to show the general condition of the item. And then if there are any scratches or any markings, either make sure they are clearly visible in the full shot or include a close-up if needs be. If you're selling a lens, take a picture looking straight down the barrel so that people can see if there are any marks or any scratches visible. Prime example, a few months ago I bought this lens from a seller secondhand on eBay. It's a Samyang 12mm fisheye lens. And in the description the seller said it was in absolutely mint condition, no problems, no marks, no nothing. Even the pictures seemed to back all of this up, so I went ahead and bought the item. After it arrived though, I noticed along the bottom of the bayonet mount for the lens hood, there was a large chunk of the lens barrel was actually broken off. Now, you couldn't really see it that clearly because with the lens hood on, it kind of hides it. But as soon as you take the lens hood off, it's very noticeable. Now, as it happens, the damage didn't actually affect the functionality of the lens. There was a hole straight through the lens, so leftover time was going to introduce moisture and dust. But thankfully, I was able to seal that hole back up myself. But I've still paid for an item that was described and priced as being in mint condition. And really, it wasn't. So I was able to contact the seller and he reduced the price. So if you're selling secondhand, be as transparent as possible. And finally, in terms of do you sell and then buy or buy and then sell, I'd say it really depends on your budget. Obviously, if you need the funds from selling your equipment in order to fund buying a new item, then you're going to have to sell it before you can buy that new item. However, if your funds can stretch to you being able to buy the new item first and then sell the other item afterwards, I would suggest that's probably the safer bet to go. Because you could buy a camera from even the most reputable shops around, but it could have a manufacturer's fault with it that you know nothing about until it arrives and it suddenly doesn't work. Now, it's still covered under warranty, but it means that if you've already sold your old camera first, you're going to have to send the new camera back to get fixed and you're going to be left without a camera. So if your budget can stretch to it, I would say the safest thing to do is get the new item first, make sure that it works, that you're happy with it, and then you can sell the old stuff, but only if you can afford to. So to summarize, I would say do your research first and work out how much roughly you can expect to get from selling an item secondhand versus what you are being offered as a trade-in price, and decide is it worth the hassle for the extra money or not. If you do decide to go down the second-hand route, make sure you are as clear and as honest as possible with your advert, and then provided you are not needing that money from the sale to buy your new equipment, hold off selling until you are happy that the new equipment is what you were expecting from it. Hope that's helped anyone out there. If you have any questions or queries, comment box is down below. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I will see you in the next video.